We're hearing that a recession is likely inevitable, is going to be coming on the horizon for our economy. Things are going to be getting worse for our financial situations here in the United States. Stimulus update when a recession arrives. Economists say more stimulus is answer. And yes, they are talking about stimulus packages and stimulus checks. I'm going to get you caught up on the latest. This is your breaking news stimulus check update and stimulus package update. The stimulus checks that landed in bank accounts around the country during the height of the pandemic, it helped lift nearly 4 million children out of poverty. Still, there are those who rally against providing help, acting as though the federal government has never done such a thing, or they won't do it here in the future. Those folks may want to go back in their history, as we're hearing that stimulus has been done before it was done during the pandemic. And they're saying it's going to be done again. And they're saying the chances of it happening right now before these midterm elections, due to everything happening with the 41-year high inflation, record high food and gas prices, and all the cause for the recession, it's very likely that this could happen very soon. Now, in addition to that, I've let you guys know that there's over $800 billion with a B have left over the stimulus fund from previous packages, just sitting there. And they're saying that the president, he could do executive orders, has the legal authority to repurpose and reallocate existing funds, not issuing new funds, but just take one sitting there and existing funds and send it out to the American people in the form of stimulus checks or some form of stimulus provisions. Take a look at these headlines. You guys, in the US economy already in a recession. A lot of people are saying we're already there and we're gonna be getting that CPI data on the state of inflation. And we're hearing that Congress, they're working away responding to all this as Democrats right now that are in full control of Congress. They want to stay in control. And they're saying that if legislation can get passed, we'll keep an eye out on President Joe Biden for executive orders and executive actions, of which they have a laundry list of him to respond to, including wiping out student debt, stimulus checks, child tax credits, and assortment of different provisions that they'd like to see passed that they can say help out the American people right now and also help our Democrats in these midterm elections. We're also hearing Republicans saying, well, if you vote us in power, then after the elections, there are going to be child tax credits, provisions, tax rebates, and assortment of things to help you out as well. So we'll see, but let's dive into the articles and get you caught up on the latest. Alright, so first let's take a look at this article that came out that says stimulus checks and payments. They're the number one way to help out during a recession, and we're gonna be taking a look at the video footage here in just a second from CNN, where we're going to be hearing we might already be in a recession and they're gonna say maybe we should fire Biden in an administration because they're saying a recession isn't inevitable, and they're saying no address the fact that we're entering into a recession, our economy is off track, and we need to get some solutions to get us through this turbulent economic environment. Let me know your thoughts, you guys. But first, take a look at this article, link in the description below. It just came out a few days ago. Stimulus update when the recession arrives. Economists say more stimulus is the answer. Now, key points. The American people received stimulus checks during both 2001 and 2008 recession, so this has happened in the past. It happened during the pandemic, and they're saying it's going to happen again. According to economists, stimulus checks help blunt the impact of recessions, and the faster that businesses get back on their feet, the faster recession can end. And stimulus checks, they help make that happen. Now, as we mentioned, it says that you might want to check your history if you think this hasn't happened before and that it won't happen again. Stimulus during recession, it has happened time and time again, and they go through in this article and say stimulus stabilize employment, stimulus payments fill state gaps, and they're saying stimulus has helped keep people out of poverty, but especially stimulus checks. Now shared with you in the previous video that we have those saying stop the stimulus payments. It's causing this record high inflation, but we have those that are saying stimulus helps keep us out of recession, helps keep people afloat, and the inflation is actually caused by all the money from the stimulus packages, nearly $6 trillion, $5 trillion of stimulus over the course of the pandemic. But stimulus checks themselves, the direct assistance that went to the American people, was just a very small portion. And a lot of people are saying we need to send out those checks, because if it's just checks going to people, it will help out directly and it won't be a massive increase in inflation. So we're going to be getting that CPI data reading tomorrow, which is going to let us know where things stand with inflation. We just received word from the White House in my last video. If you missed it, check it out. They're saying expect the numbers to be pretty bad and that we could be going into a recession. Fears about a recession eased a bit this week after another strong jobs report. But with the Fed likely to raise interest rates again later this month and high inflation continuing to push the cost of everything you buy, Americans remain deeply uneasy about the economy just months before the midterm elections. So the US economy has now recovered all the private sector jobs during the pandemic. Gas prices after shooting up have been dropping steadily for more than 3 weeks. Recession is coming. You cannot add $5 trillion onto Americans' balance sheet and just hope it goes away. The recession is coming. The Fed, I think, has known it for a while. They've kind of ignored it. They should have been easing us into the right race and where we need to go. Over a year ago, you had a RESEC Treasury Secretary who was saying, oh, well, it's not inevitable. Well, of course, it's inevitable of you. Don't need 4 years. But Dartmouth economists know what? That when you add that $5 trillion, there has to be some outcome. And unfortunately, the outcome is high gas prices, high housing prices. The price of the taco is getting unbearable for some folks, and it hits lower and middle income families very, very hard. And that's just going to be the issue going forward. And we're going to be seeing, because as we mentioned, we're approaching midterm elections. It's ramping up here. All the pressure on Congress to get things done, pass legislation, do executive orders and executive actions. Democrats want to stay in control right now. They have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, but we're hearing that right now. The way things are going through, a red wave is going to be coming on the way, and Republicans are going to be taking seats in the House and the Senate, and we could have a full Republican Congress with a sitting Democratic president. And it's very likely that over the course of the next 2 years, if that's the case, it's gonna be pretty hard for him to get things done. And we're hearing that in 2024. It could be the end of the President Joe Biden, and if you missed my last video, we're hearing about 64% of those polled Democrats are saying he should not run for re-election, that they need to replace him with somebody else.